Order at 7 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Hills, can you take attendance?
Mrs. Castle? Here. Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanacey?
Hello.
Mrs. Mack? Yes. Mr. Strang?
Here. Okay, 1.2, review of agenda, additions to the agenda. Anything about the agenda you'd like to talk about?
Well, sure. Well, welcome everyone to our August board meeting prior to the start of the school year. Thank you, Ms. Beardsley, for joining us as part of your internship and just to hang out on a Thursday. Just to point out, actually, to the board, we did add one piece to the agenda. That was the tax rates. Finally just came and were certified. And also, literally, as of about 4 o'clock, there is one aide resignation due to accepting another position. So that is just added on. So, agreed. So that'd be the only addition since the last agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
Sharon, he needs a new one.
I'm all messed up.
Go ahead, you can scribble.
Is it all right if I scribble?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'll let you get away with it this year, but
Did you think it's hard to send scribbling off?
Yes. It was bad. I put, instead of street, I started to put my last name. That's why I can't take attendance in writing that. It just, the brain isn't functioning.
You barely noticed it, though.
Your Honor.
Present to you as Exhibit 1.
That's right.
Okay. Back to our meeting.
it'll look like I didn't know how to write my name.
What did you think you were signing for?
1.3, approval of minutes of the previous meeting. We only have one.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. We only have one? Oh, no. Yeah, we only have one. From July 12th, 2018. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you, Sharon, a couple minutes
Okay.
to it. As I
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those against? 1.4, acceptance of financial reports. We have a couple this month. We have the internal claims auditor's report for June and July of 2018, and the monthly treasurer's report with budget transfers. Okay, somebody make a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Okay. 1.5, visitors and communication. Communications to the Board of Education. I don't believe I received anything. Did anybody? Okay. Opportunity for the public to be heard.
Nobody's right.
Nobody signed up. Okay. There'll be an opportunity later in the meeting if anybody would like to speak. 2.0, reports to the Board of Education. 2.1, Board of Education reports and updates. I don't know if anybody has anything. I don't think so. Okay. 2.2, district/superintendent program report. Looks like you have a couple things you'd like to talk about.
Sure. Just a few little updates for the record, if that's okay. As you could probably imagine, the big push for the last couple weeks has been the finishing of the capital project. We are very excited that tomorrow is our fire inspection / CO walkthrough. So that was supposed to take place on Wednesday, but we had waxed the floors, so we couldn't walk through. So the goal being tomorrow that we have our official CO, which means that, of course, faculty can officially inhabit the space. It is furnished. They, as of about 10 minutes ago, are still working on just some punch list items, and we'll use tomorrow as kind of our final piece to some pieces that still need to be rectified. I think there's a few pieces, as mentioned to the board prior conversation, that will say to the school year, for example, some calibration of doors, things like that, but everything in terms of safety, security, and the rooms being safe for students will be there in place. If not by tomorrow, at least by the start of school. A couple little pieces that we did add since our last meeting. We are adding a protective curtain that will go across the velvet curtain. That will be arriving in October, and that will be installed. So that will protect and, of course, provide more insulation for sound with the classes. And also the gym floor is in the process of being redone right now. That should be done by Tuesday. The logo will go on probably Monday, and then one more coat, and then one more coat on top of that on Tuesday for a final piece. So that's very exciting. So really, for the most part, actually, if the board's interested after the meeting, we certainly can take a tour. But as we said, the furniture was delivered and assembled. So the pre-K room is ready to go, just to be set up. And also some pieces that go along with that, too. As I mentioned, we do have a pre-K teacher and teacher assistant that have been hired. and in place. They are ready to go, both of them as of today, for the system as well. So it's very exciting. The building will be operational, ready to go. Our goal is to do an open house once the space is inhabited, and also so that folks can see the old part of the building and the new part. We're going to wait though until the classrooms are set up and look more kind of conducive. So probably about it'll definitely be a Saturday, but we'll be marketing that probably a couple weeks into the school year, once things are set up and ready to go. Jason and I did make a promotional video today of the new space to kind of entice people to come out to the open houses, the regular school open houses, September 12th and 13th, but also to our Saturday to be announced, just to kind of give them a teaser what the wing looks like. So we had a little fun doing that today as well. Also, to go along with that, if I may, so with that, the building opening, if I can just share with you a copy. I know we discussed a lot of times the master schedule, but I thought I would share with you a copy of the master schedule. So while it might not look as glamorous, as one of the things that we made a goal, and I don't mean to showcase these, but it starts out as kind of a vision. We try to kind of, this is kind of what works best, I find. And the goal was this year, as I mentioned before, was to make sure that there wasn't one student, particularly in 8th grade where there's more course selection, 6th and 7th are a little more locked, that not one student, regardless of course, there was not one student denied for taking a course. As you know, we offer 4 enriched or honors courses. A lot of times it used to be locked where if you took one, you had to take the other. If you took math, you had to take science. If you took art, you had to take. We've made it so, basically, if I may, not to showcase, sorry, it's not fake writing. We basically made about 9 or 10 different iterations by hand scheduling these students. So if you were selected for honors English but not art, could the schedule work for you? Could the schedule work for you if you were in special education but were selected for honors English? Yes, it could work for you. So basically this was used to kind of the scientific way of making sure it worked. So we are excited. We did run it in the computer, and it does work. And also a couple of new things I'm very excited to feature, if I may, is in 6th grade we did add 2 new courses. One is exploration in science, which is basically allowing for reinforcement of science concepts from the elementary level. So it's basically an every other day semester-long class with Mrs. Ryan, so students get used to Mrs. Ryan's teaching, but also she can pave the way so those gaps that we sometimes notice between K and 6 are closed. Some basic skill kind of pieces with science. It kind of breaks up pieces every other day for a semester. But opposite that is supplemental art, which is basically a chance for Mrs. Mitchell, who would like to, while they have art every 6th day, and it's kind of more of a traditional art class, this will be a hands-on 6th grade art class, mural painting, set design, things like that. So it's kind of that kinesthetic piece. So it kind of adds another element, so it's not just either phys ed or library or phys ed every single day. It kind of gives another element. And it also reduces our class sizes too, so we're not putting 40-something students in a phys ed class, but actually reducing that class size for more intimate learning. And also you'll notice the addition of Health 8 has been added to the schedule for 8th graders, so all 8th graders have been scheduled for Health 8. And also one piece we're very excited to, again, mark it for May, is also the addition of, in addition to Tech 8 being taught, we'll be actually we have a smaller class running, which is called Tech 8 Student Help Desk. That is where actually the goal is to have our 8th graders facilitate and run our help desk. So small ticket items like, if a computer needs to be hooked up or needs to be serviced, like the lab, it's a smaller group of students that sometimes are opposite our resource or skills class that might benefit and enjoy kind of being like, the trouble ticket. So a ticket comes in, if the computer's not working, can they go and diagnose the problem and maybe come back with a preliminary report? And they'll be working very closely with Anthony Vecchio as well. Matt Lutz will be teaching the class, but Anthony Vecchio is going to be facilitating that as well. So kind of some exciting offerings, and we look forward. And also, if I may, I'm sorry to keep babbling, but we're very excited. You'll notice period 9, we're excited to offer a class for our non-performers called Exploration of Music. We actually might rename that course to Music Industry, because that will be a class that allows students to explore podcasting, broadcasting in general, remixing of music, recording, things like that. So that's for our 8th graders and 7th graders that have tried a performance group in 6th grade or 7th grade, and it's maybe not for them. So they've tried chorus or band, and it's just not something they're interested in. So rather than assuming that they have to take chorus or a double phys ed or a study hall, there's not one study hall in the schedule. The nice part is it adds that kind of extra element. So Mary Alice New will be teaching that opposite band. So some exciting new offerings, and we look forward to enrolling that schedule.
Are the numbers after the teachers, are they their room numbers?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, please.
And do the teachers have input into this, or is this something that you sit down with Mary and do, or do the teachers see this ahead of time? How does that work?
Great question. The teacher input, sometimes we'll take teacher input in terms of groupings. Students like that we see more in 6th and 7th grade, like so-and-so and so-and-so would be a great match or would not be a great match, that kind of piece. In terms of when they're teaching what, we sometimes try to group things, so like there's 2 math 8s back to back, so the setup is the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But obviously the students drive the schedule. We always make the rule that we would never do that at the expense of a student not being able to take something. So basically, Amy takes in the course request by the end of June, so that's when a lot of people get those letters that say your child's been recommended for X, Y, or Z, or do they want to take band, chorus, or none of the above, and then Amy and I kind of sit down over the summer and make the collage. But that's a great question. But actually, we also try to maintain that common planning time, so that there is a chance to collaborate.
If you lose those pieces of paper, is all well?
We can't open.
Yeah.
This is, Power School can't do what this does.
You want to protect those?
And I am now. But it all starts here, that makes it, you know, it's, so thank you for your support, but really, it's very, if I may say, it's a very exciting student-centered schedule.
Looks labor intensive.
It's fun. It's a fun puzzle when you make work.
And there's not a computer program that can do that?
Not like this. Not. Legal pad and some paper.
That's not legal pad.
Hotel stationery.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you. You were done, right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. 2.3, principal's report. I don't see the principal here tonight. Did she leave you with anything? or-
She did not. She was unable to be here tonight, but basically everything I kind of underscored. You know, Dr. Yost has been working very closely with our new reading teacher and our new kindergarten teacher, and facilitating some kind of opening day pieces as part of our opening day schedule, which I did share with the board for some kind of data work and some looking at the data. The state test results have not been released, probably not till mid-September. They should be out, is what the anticipated date is. So using kind of localized data. That's been the real focal point of what Dr. Yost has been doing. And also scheduling pieces and also making sure we're ready for opening day.
Okay.
That's what she would say.
Thank you. 2.4, PTA, SEPTA. I don't believe we had a PTA report. Anything you wanted to say about SEPTA?
Well, I would guess that PTA would just want to announce their carnival. That's on September 4th from 4:30 to 7. That's something new this year. It's replacing the playground social, so they're beefing it up quite a bit. And then for SEPTA, we are going on Sunday to take a tour and have like a private group at Ring Around the Spectrum just to see what services and classes that they offer. So,
Where is that first?
Latham. It just opened last year. They don't want to advertise it, but none of us have been there, so check it out.
You mentioned the carnival. I have volunteered to take over to the dunk tank.
Oh, lucky you.
Hopefully it's a warm day.
How much is it for a throw?
It's all free.
It's all free.
Oh, free, oh boy.
Sit there
How
or-
much is the budget for
Yeah, I
that?
say.
How many baseball teams you have? Softball?
Buy some bags of ice too, if that helps.
Oh. 3.0, appointments and authorizations. 3.1, approve the CSE, CPSE recommendations as per attached. So you make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? Discussion?
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
3.2, approval of substitutes. We have quite a few here. Substitute nurse, $95 per day. We have Amanda Rokier and Tori Davey. Clerical, $12.50 an hour. We have Brenda Alderman, Stephanie Ryan, Kathy Vale. Substitute recess aide, cafe aide, $11.10 per hour. Madison A. Cox, Eric Waddy, Robert Cushing, Sue Subek, Lynn Denny, Jamie DeRocher, Stephanie Ryan. Substitute teacher's aide, non-certified teacher, $80 per day. We have Madison A. Cox, Brendan Crozier, Stephanie Ryan, Sue Subek, Lynn Denny, Jamie DeRocher, Valeska LaPlanche, Hallie Shoemaker, Babette Laux, Caitlin Cook, Lauren Martelli, Gianna Coyne, and Kiana King. Substitute certified teacher, $95 per day. We have Michael Gilligan, Sandra Ryan, Alexandra Rosier, Ann Robertson, Kelly Shoemaker, Lynn Denny, Hannah Teague. And substitute kitchen, $11.10 per hour. Eric Audie, Kyle Audie, Jamie DeRocher, Stephanie Ryan. Substitute bus aide, $11.10 per hour. We have Eric Audie. And substitute bus driver at $14 per hour, Thomas J. Ryan. Excuse me, Thomas J. Reardon.
Get that one right. Good.
Somebody
Where do
make the
you squeeze
motion.
that in?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.3, some additional substitutes. We have custodians, $12.50 per hour. Madison Acotz, Edward Christensen, and Joyce Lanacy. Someone to make a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or discussion?
Mrs. Castle? Mr. Hirakawa?
Yeah.
Mr. Lanicy?
I'm going to abstain.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.4, accept the donation of the following exercise equipment from Ed and Brianna Boyer. Leg press machine, body smith machine, calf machine, free motion cable machine, bench, weights, bar, a plate rack, all of it with the approximate value of $1,500. Need a motion?
Move.
Any second?
Second.
Want to talk about this?
Sure, and actually, for any photos, if you'd like to check out my Twitter page, you'll see a couple samples. Dan DeSoto did arrange. His neighbor was donating this equipment. It looks barely used, so I imagine they purchased it with better intentions, but again, it works out great for us. So it has been delivered. It is in place. So actually, it would be great for our sports teams, kind of like either when it's rainy practices or part of their practicing and circuit training, and also our phys ed classes can obviously have those stations as well. So there is one piece that does need to be repaired, but obviously we'll have that repaired. Our own Andy DeGear, working supervisor can do that, he said. And of course, we'll have that inspected.
Did we have equipment before this? Did we have?
No, believe it or not, we don't have any weights or any weight machines. This is our first, and it fits
Where?
nicely in the
I was going to
garage.
say, where are we going to put all this?
Well, actually, if I may add, because of the new addition, and now that we have 5 garage bays, Andy has reconfigured everything so there's a dedicated phys ed garage. That garage is the old garage right behind phys ed. It used to be kind of for chairs, risers. It's now exclusively phys ed and recess. So it fits nicely there, also in the girls' locker room office, and then some. So there's kind of room in the middle and also in that garage. And we have, again, 5 garage bays under the new addition, so it's very nicely.
So do they have to go outside to use this?
Well, it would be transferred. So the weights are actually, we purposely kept the weights inside because those can be transferred into the gym easily, but the machines are in the garage, so if we were going to do like a weightlifting unit, we could move those out and kind of stuff. So those are in the garage for now because they're less portable, but obviously the free weights and the weight pieces are in the girls' locker room office, so they can easily be retrieved and used.
Okay.
So there's not a workout room? I think is-
Correct. Yeah, definitely not a workout room.
Yeah.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Price
Mr.
is great,
Hirakawa?
Yep.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.5, accept the resignation of Zachary Fahrenkoff for the extracurricular appointment of boys modified soccer coach for the 2018-19 school year. Need a motion?
Motion. Second.
Want to talk about this?
Sure. It was Zachary is right now probably leaving school in New Mexico. He did take a position teaching on an Indian reservation in New Mexico, so he's out there teaching social studies. So again, he regrets not being able to stay with us. As you know, he did some long-term sub pieces with us, and he was a very reliable sub. We're very proud of him taking that risk and going out there. So trying a new thing.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack? Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.6, accept the resignation of Sarah Lant, teacher's aide, effective August 31st, 2018.
Motion.
Second.
Anything you want to add?
Just to kind of recap again, Sarah did receive a position in another school district, so again, she is leaving us, but she was with us a year and a half. Very solid person.
Mrs. Castle? Mr. Hirakawa?
Yeah.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.7, accept the resignation of Kathy Vale, CSE CPSE secretary, effective August 31st, 2018. Need a motion?
Move.
Second? Did you need a second?
I got
Oh,
it
okay.
for a second.
Okay. Go ahead. Sure.
I just want to commend, actually, that is a resignation for retirement purposes. Again, Kathy Vale has been with us part-time, in a part-time capacity for 22 years, and she's elected to retire at the end of this month. So she is, we wish her the best. And obviously, in the meantime, as I mentioned before, we will be exploring that position, using some substitute coverage right now, and kind of re-examining that position to make sure it's what the position needs. So, but we wish Kathy the best of luck. Wish this a new chapter.
Okay. Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack? Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.8, appoint John Leroy as part-time .1 choral music teacher beginning September 4th, 2018 through June 30th, 2019 at step 5 prorated.
Motion.
Second.
Talk about this?
Sure. As you know, we have the .1 chorus position, which again is a chorus the class meets every other day on ACE days, opposite band. This was a position that we were looking to fill when Mrs. Swart, elected. She had been doing that out of certification, had elected to do that, kind of as for a bit of time, but then it was becoming a little bit too much, and it wasn't really her area of certification. So actually, we're very fortunate. John Leroy is probably a familiar name. He has been our accompanist for the past 3 years. He's been the piano player at the concerts, so again, our students know him. He's a very talented musician, again, pretty much a career musician who, when explored and the position opened, was actually excitedly, pursued this. So again, we're very happy to have him join us. He'll be coming in tomorrow to begin his music library.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
Appoint Chris Phillips for extracurricular appointment, boys modified soccer coach for the 2018-19 school year, as per the WTA contract. Need a motion?
Second.
And just to clarify, Chris is one of our teacher aides, and he will be stepping up to fill Zach's role. So,
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack? Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.10, appoint Jonathan Leroy for extracurricular appointment, All County Chorus and NISMA Chorus for the 2018-19 school year, as per the WTA contract.
Motion.
Second.
these are positions that the chorus teacher, these are like minor stipended positions that Mrs. Newell has done in the past, but obviously since he will be our chorus teacher, and also for the past 2 years, if I may, he's been the accompanist at such events, so he'll be our representative, which is nice.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Either one,
Mr.
yeah.
Lanisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.11, appoint Heather Watroba as a 6-month probationary full-time teacher aide, effective September 4th, 2018, as per the WTAA contract.
Motion.
Second.
Want to talk about her?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. She, Heather was going to be with us tonight, but actually she did have a family emergency with her child. But as you know, I mentioned before, she's been hired. She actually was in our original pool. She did apply for one of our teacher positions at one point, and so she really will be a nice addition to our staff. She has both teaching experience, but also has been coming to us with, I shouldn't say secondary, at the collegiate level experience. She's been working as an advisor at Hudson Valley, so she kind of brings both perspectives to the position. So very excited to kind of reinvent her career and join us, which is exciting.
And is she replacing Sarah, or is there now a new open?
Excellent question. She is replacing Sarah, and as of a few hours ago, we were set until Courtney's resignation was just received. So Carly's resignation was just received. So that position has been reposted as of an hour ago, and so we'll be interviewing and preparing for that for the opening of school. So we still have one vacancy as of now, but as of noon, we were fine.
We were good.
So-
Okay, I was just curious.
No, great question. I keep mixing up the names. I apologize.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.12, resolved that the Board of Education of the Wineham-Scale Union Free School District hereby authorizes the establishment of the repair reserve. The purpose of this reserve is to pay the cost of repairs to the capital improvements or equipment, which repairs are for type of not reoccurring annually or at shorter intervals. The reserve will be funded by excess fund balance or budgetary appropriations. Somebody make a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Want to talk about this?
Absolutely. This is actually a product of our last meeting in July, as you recall. In addition to replenishing our fund balance, and also in addition to making some purchases like our school buses and some other items like the gym floor, we did have some excess funding that we were able to use. We wound up with approximately $164,000 in excess after we replenished our fund balance and after we made some of those purchases like the gym floor and a few of the science kits, actually the second set of science kits. So what we've elected to do is, now this is almost what you're authorizing us to go to vote in May to fund that reserve, if that makes sense. So basically what you're doing is we have about, as I said, $160,000. We're going to elect to put $60,000 or so into our employee retirement benefits fund. That's one of our reserves if somebody retires or if they leave us. But we'd like to start that reserve at $100,000. So basically what you're authorizing the district to do is to establish that reserve, and then voters will vote in May to fund it, if that makes sense. So the money's kind of earmarked and it stays. you're basically authorizing us to put it on the ballot in May so that we can vote to fund it. And the goal obviously is to have a repair reserve, so when we run into issues like last year, like the water heater breaking, we're not pulling from the general fund, but we would have a repair balance. So again, and that also, if I may, is in addition to our capital reserve will also still have money left over after the project's done. So we'll have a capital reserve and a capital repair reserve, which means for separate repairs and perhaps a future capital project we can continue to fund for. So.
I just have an editorial question. In that second sentence, should it read, when repairs are of a type not recurring annually? Which repairs? Just seems to stumble that sentence up.
That's a great question. I must confess, we took this directly from Scott Prusser, our auditor. We asked for the language, so we could check on that.
Okay.
If that's what was a mistype, if there's a reason for that particular
No, I
verbiage.
think that this is
Maybe, okay,
correct.
it's repairs.
I think that's correct.
Oh, sorry, second.
The purpose of this repair is paid
You
across
just kind of
repairs.
stumble over it.
Which repairs are.
Oh, sorry.
No, I can look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, which repairs are of that, are of a type not recurring? I think it's correct.
Well, why don't we move on it, and if we need to amend it for next month, we can do that.
Yep, that's
How does
fine.
that
I'll
sound?
check them first thing in the morning.
Mrs.
Yes.
Castle? Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.13. 3.13. Whereas the Board of Education of the Wine-and-Skill Union Free School District has been authorized by the voters at the annual district meeting to raise for current budget of the 2018-19 school year a sum not to exceed $5,313,920. Therefore, be it resolved that the board fix the equalized tax rate by towns and confirm the extension of taxes as they appear on the following tax roll. And there is a chart with the different towns that we service. And be it hereby directed that the tax warrant of this board duly signed shall be affixed to the above described tax rolls authorizing the collection of said taxes to begin September 1st, 2018 and end October 31st, 2018, giving the tax warrant an effective period of 60 days at the expiration of which time the tax collector shall make an accounting in writing to the board. And it is further directed that delinquent tax penalties be fixed as follows. First 30 days penalty-free, second 30 days interest of 2% added. I'm going to make a motion.
Move. Second.
Want to talk about the...
Sure. Just to explain, and thank you again to the board's patience. As you know, we were trying to get this in because we want our tax bills generated by September 1st, so this is right at the deadline. We'll be in great shape, so it needs to be ready to collect taxes. But just to kind of clarify, remember, obviously, the piece that we always try to explain in budget is the tax levy versus tax rate are two different things, but obviously we can levy. We decide as a school district what we're going to levy, and then the tax rate is based on, obviously, the local townships and the county in terms of the equalization rates and pieces like that. So we can't control that. That's why we wait on the county to kind of approve and kind of validate these numbers. But just to put in perspective, this is obviously based on per what, $1,000, Belle? Per $1,000 of property value. But roughly what this equates to is North Greenbush taxes. The actual rate is about 2.13. You notice that's the lion's share where our taxes come from. You notice very little come from Brunswick, but as you can see in proportion, it's about 2.13, and then Post-Kill and Brunswick. Post-Kill is probably 2.3 or 4, something like in that range. And then obviously Brunswick might be 2.5%, but you're noticing we're only pulling, I think, one parcel looks like from that township. So again, for North Greenbush, the majority of our township, it's about a 2.13 tax rate based on our school tax levy.
Any other questions?
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
3.14, accept the resignation of Carly Newhouse, teacher's aide, effective August 31st, 2018.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Absolutely. Just as explained before, this is a person that did just resign as of today. Again, she did receive a position as a teacher assistant in another school. So we're very sad to lose her. She was with us this past school year, did a tremendous job. So that ad is posted right now. So we'll be interviewing, obviously canvassing, interviewing, and hopefully have someone in place for the start of school. But as I always will say, if there's not the ideal candidate ready, then we'll start the school with a sub, and then we'll proceed from there. So the goal is to find a quality person, but not rush it too much. So.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Garakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strand?
Yes.
4.0, informational. 4.1, Board of Education dinner. This is like our retreat at the Desmond Conference Center on August 29th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. 4.2, the next regular meeting will be September 20th, 2018. And 4.3, opportunity for the public to be heard. Everybody has signed up. Anything from the audience before we close? Okay. 5.0, request for executive session. I do not believe anybody has a need. Okay. 7.0, adjournment.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?